All right, it's time for a daily market recap. And looking at the markets here today, corn kind of rebounded from some lower starts, and soybeans had a good start out of the gate and then couldn't quite make it across the finish line. Kenan Layden joining us from agmarket.net right now. And Kenan, what happened in those grains today?
I would say the big story today would be the big soybean oil move. It's getting some help from outside markets. Crude's up almost $3 the last time I looked on Iranian and U.S. tensions escalating. So some good stories in that oil market today. Gold, silver, precious metals are up on the flight to safety. Crude is something, and its products are also up today. Something important to remember for fuel needs for the spring. Oil has been depressed for a long time, and sometimes when that happens and you get other commodities like gold moving up significantly, that ratio gets out of whack. So even it being an election year, you could see crude oil continue to move up, especially if these tensions continue to increase or escalate and actions taken. But soybean oil was helped from that. Also, there was some news that the EPA has submitted the RVO biofuel guidelines to the White House, which will probably be reviewed over the next month. I think some of the soybeans coming out of the gate hot was attributed to that big soybean oil move. Also, if I'm a fund trader, some of these grains have heavy fundamentals where soybeans and soy oil have a story. So they are something you can trade more on the boil side. They have a fundamental story. Whether that fundamental story comes to pass or not is a question. And then, corn, a lot of basis contracts, unpriced corn that's going to have to get priced here at the end of the month. Could be something that when we get those little pops, it starts to wait. That March contract is going into delivery next week. Winter wheats were up double digits, back to where they were last Thursday after the big sell-off opening up this week. That's volatile wheat market. Maybe it's found a low for now, but price move up is better than making new lows, which is usually what we talk about when we're talking about wheat.
So, and kind of staying on that topic for a minute, what has been leading to the volatility there? Because I know in Iowa we don't think about wheat a lot, but it sure puts a lot of pressure on the corn market, usually taking it along for the ride one way or the other.
Yeah, and there's arguments what's causing, wheat's not necessarily priced at, attractive levels. So to grow it, so maybe we see maybe there's some thinking acres rotate away from wheat here this year. Funds have been short wheat a long time. Any short covering, you could probably see these market pops. Maybe there's not much juice left to squeeze out of this wheat contract. And we're getting into the season for weather. So wheat, a lot of northern hemisphere wheat is growing and heavily influenced by weather around the world. So maybe the shorts are deciding to take a break there on the wheat contract, even given the heavy fundamentals as we move into weather season.
Okay, then switching gears over to the livestock side of things, I know cattle and hogs yesterday all moved triple digits higher in the front months. Were they able to maintain that momentum today? What did we see out of the livestock?
Yeah, cattle just kind of had an indecisive day, down, up, closing, um, pretty much unchanged, a little movement in some of the contracts, but after the big move yesterday, wasn't necessarily a ton of follow through there. Today, cash prices remain strong from what I've seen on paper and talking to producers, but the market seems to not want to push higher here. You can maybe kind of at this point, but coming out of the gate yesterday was a good move. Cattle on feeds coming out Friday. Nothing looks too bearish in that report. They tend to be bullish with the really tight cattle numbers. So kind of just a back and forth day in the cattle. Hogs were higher, maybe finding some technical support yesterday after a big sell-off. Some people say that was a big technical sell-off, making new highs, but hopefully found some support here technically, and maybe some more buyers move in.
All right. Well, Ken, if folks want to look at some of the intel and some of the things we talked about and maybe pick your brains and find out what kind of options they should be looking at for their marketing plans, what's the best way to get that conversation started?
Yeah, just go to agmarket.net, look for a broker in your area, contact us if you're interested, but just check out what we have to offer.
All right, Kenan Layden of agmarket.net has been our guest here on the Daily Market Recap. Thanks so much, Kenan. We'll talk to you again real soon.
Thanks, Dustin.